Hi everyone, welcome back into Primetime TV. It's Barbara Marville-Kelly and my husband Dennis Kelly. Welcome. We're back.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yes, and I'm glad that we're feeling good and everything. In fact, we're on a roll today. Anything goes. It's open mic conversation about how to live our best well life, right?
Right.
Because that's the only way to enjoy life, is living your best well life. That's where the wealth is. Do you agree with me, Champ?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And, don't, you'll beat me up.
I doubt that. I threaten that with the bamboo sticks, but it would never happen. Anyway, hope you guys are all doing well. And we're very happy to talk about what we usually talk about, and that's taking good care of ourselves and really trying to prevent dis-ease, trying to deal with our stress the best way we can. And of course, we like to think that we are lifetime influencers and leaving you with at least one little tidbit of information that can influence you and maybe even transform your lives. We have some things we're going to be going back and just kind of going over, but then we're also going to be adding what we've been doing as of late, different things to actually stir up the pot of good health after what the last couple of years have looked like. I think we're all ready for that. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly because the time is right. There's so much opportunity out there, believe it or not. To put our best face forward.
You know, there's so much truth in that. In fact, we're back to the dojo. I'm glad to see that we're back to the dojo, working out at 6 o'clock in the morning by choice. We're doing some martial arts drills and feeling really good about it, and we feel awesome afterwards as well, and it just takes our energy throughout the day. I hope you're doing some form of exercise. I know after certain things happened in the last couple of years, we've had to do some workout at home using our furniture and different things. My husband has a whole complete routine that he worked out with his physical therapist, and it worked out just fine. But we are also getting back into our gym here pretty soon with the Silver Sneakers program, and if you happen to be of that age, your insurance can cover that for you, and it's a really great way to get back involved and really get that body moving. So I am going to talk about what you always talk about, is our body, and how when every muscle, every tendon, every ligament, and all those miles and miles of blood vessels, when they're all dancing in perfect harmony. Think about it. Ballroom dancers, are they not dancing in perfect harmony? You're a ballroom dance champion. We're both ballroom dancers, and we know that when all the steps are perfect, it's like a musical masterpiece, right?
Right, absolutely. You hit it on the head.
And so the seminars that my husband wants to get back to doing, and along with workshops, and this is one way of doing it, is to bring the information to you, is being a lifetime influencer, being a HeatMath Institute life coach, and so many other things, sport nutritionist and all. We bring this to the airwaves. Take some notes if you like, get a hold of us, private message us. We're here and we're available for you anytime. So let's talk about that. Why is that when we take care of ourselves, we have proper nutrition, we have proper exercise, exercising our muscles, and muscles have memory, right?
Right.
So what happens when you do that for so many years and maybe, just maybe, you're hit with some kind of a health crisis or an accident, a fall, a broken leg, What is the difference compared to somebody that maybe didn't take such good care of themselves? What happens?
Well,
you can speak to this from your own experience.
Yeah, absolutely. The key is to realize that our health has a lot to do
with our wealth.
Right.
And you've said that many times.
Right.
So if we don't have our health, we really don't have our wealth. Doesn't matter how much money we have. Right?
No, people give up their wealth to gain their health, that's fine, but if they give up their health to gain their wealth, that's not fine.
No, it's not fine.
They don't last as long, and they're not as, how would I say it, they're not as quick to jump into something that's going to be for pleasure, but not something that's going to help them in the long run.
Exactly. And you know from yourself, having been hit with Parkinson's, melanoma, 2 concussions from a fall from a bad sidewalk in our neighborhood, and what else? Need I add anything else to that? What else? What was the latest thing? Oh, here is what I am ready to talk about, are side effects from medications. Side effects from medications. That was the last bit of happiness that happened with my husband at the beginning of the year when he passed out, his eyes rolled back into his head, and I really thought he had passed in and of that moment. And I shook him, took his blood, called 911, took his blood pressure, and it had gone down from 60, gone to 66/38.
It is a wee bit, isn't it?
I think so. Fortunately, you came back, everything was fine when you got to the hospital and everything, but he was on a medication for the Parkinson's disease, and they really could have taken you out, because being an athlete, his blood pressure runs low. So when your blood pressure runs low, I don't think it's a good idea to be on a medication that is going to cause your blood pressure to go lower.
Sounds like an oxymoron to me.
It is an oxymoron. So this is what I'm on my soapbox about these days, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I'm blabbing on here forever, and I'm not letting you talk about when we take good care of ourselves, then when crisis hits, we've got a better shot at feeling better and getting through it. Do you agree with that? Because you know what you've been through easier than I do.
Yes, but if you would look for an opportunity in the disaster or in a negative thing, there is an opportunity, a silver lining in every dark cloud. And once you are able to master that, even if you get sick, you've got a stronger immune system. Mm-hmm. My immune system must be through the roof, because I've been exposed to so many negative things that would normally make a person sick. Mm-hmm. People I used to, when I was young, hang around. Mm-hmm. But the key is to realize that you can do a lot internally rather than depend on the doctor. Not that you shouldn't go to the doctor, but you can do a lot with doing a few little exercises, breathing, and your furniture in the house can actually be a prop for some exercises. So if you have a financial challenge, you don't want to wait until you can. You can't wait until you can function so that you can do what you need to do to get better.
Exactly. Like the push-ups that you do on the tufted couch or love seat.
A regular push-up would be a lot for somebody that is suffering from Parkinson's disease or anything that saps your neurological system. Then you would have a little challenge using the thought of the antioxidant that will take you to a healthy situation.
And antioxidants are what really helps us build our immune system, and that's what we've done for many, many years. So when the health issue, that went worldwide, I don't even want to give it the energy because it isn't worth it. We managed to survive, and we were both exposed to that, not once, but twice.
Yeah, it was quite an experience.
And we fared very well with it. I mean, not that we are, how do I want to say it? not privy to getting something because, you know, I mean, the whole world's opened up again. But honestly, we've built our immune system for many, 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 many years. And it has shown to be true that when you do take your antioxidants and you replace things with supplements that are going to be either holistic, and even if they're not organic, we prefer organic if we can. We try to eat organic as much as we can, but I don't drive myself crazy if I can't get organic tomatoes. I'll do otherwise. But
so roll on the floor and scream.
yeah, I could do that.
That's what you did when you were a girl. You still get a kick out of that.
So the other thing is eating a really good food plan. And I try my very best to feed us well. Do we cheat a little bit? Yes. I made a spice cake for my husband the other day because he loves his sugar. But that's coming to a screeching halt as well because of just...
Here we go.
It's the thing...
Sugar out the window.
It's the thing we've got to do. Hey, have you ever read the book? It's an old book. Do you remember the book Sugar Blues? By Gloria Swanson.
Yeah, I believe
Gloria
I read that years
Swanson.
ago.
No, we're not that old to go way back then, but that book was that was one of my first enlightened experiences, is understanding what sugar does to the system. Not only that, it creates inflammation. And guess what inflammation creates? Wrinkles. So there, I said it. Sugar creates inflammation, in turn creates wrinkles. And if you've ever listened to Suzanne Summers, oh, she'll get on her soapbox about inflammation as well. So what do you have to say for yourself, champ?
What I say to myself, this world is really messed up right now.
Yeah, I know, but we can overcome it.
And that's what I like to suggest to everyone, is this is time to pray. If you don't believe in God, it's still a time to think positive and use the thought that we have tremendous energy in this universe. And you can tap into that energy by simply focusing, getting passionate about being well, healthy. You can't, nothing really happens in a big way unless there's passion. If you don't have passion, you don't really have a handle on things. You got to make up things as you go along. But if you got a passion, the subconscious mind and conscious mind will work together, and really you'll work miracles. And it's not conjecture, it's a fact, a very important fact.
It is. It truly is, and we've done that. And we're still learning more and more so that we can bring to you different things that we're doing and testing out for you, different programs, different services that we can offer you. And with Lifetime Influencers, Inc., our business is here to stay because we want to flow with what's going in the world. We want to continue to bring you the HeatMath Experience, which you have been certified since, my gosh, 1996? And to me, that is what has been the massive, major change in our lives through world crisis, world health issues. None of us knew what we would be up against. You know, and as being life coaches, you could say we had a little bit of a leg up, but don't kid yourself. Even plumbers have leaky pipes, okay? Don't think for 1 minute that we didn't have moments where we go, it was an oh, you know what moment. Like, oh, what do we do now? Okay, well, we can do this, this, or that. We'd put options on the table, right? You want to continue on eating the way we are, or we want to change that a little bit. I'm in the process right now of figuring out how to put an organic garden together out on our screened-in lanai, where the little critters can't get at it, because down here in Florida, it can be a challenge. So that is on my bucket list, and I'm consulting with some friends of ours that have already done it, and I'm excited about it. Wouldn't you love to be able to go out onto the lanai, pick out some organically grown romaine lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun watching you have fun with those plants.
Unless they die. Then you'll hear about that.
Well, that's if I touch them, they'll die. I have a black thumb, not a green thumb. I don't know what the deal is with plants and me, but they just don't like me.
Well, you have other talents, my dear.
Yeah, but we don't talk about them.
Yes, we do. We talk about them all the time.
Just kidding.
So what else can we talk about today without me getting up on my soapbox about these side effects about medications, and I'm not saying that you should stop medications or that they're totally bad for you. Modern medicine, I just want to make that statement, is truly wonderful when used in the right way. And I'm just going to say that, and I want to let you know that I do genetic testing, and I do that because it is one of my passions. You had mentioned earlier on about passion, having passion. It's so critical in life. We've learned that. I mean, at 73 and 84, what if we didn't have passion? What if you didn't have passion in the martial arts or the dance business? What if I didn't have passion for doing what I do with helping others and raising the awareness on inspiration of life, motivation of life, and doing things that will allow our body set itself up for healing on its own? That's what God meant for our bodies to do. We have everything under the sun on this planet to heal ourselves, correct?
Absolutely. Very well put.
Yeah, we do, and we talk about that when we're doing our supplement program or whatever, and I'm sure there's many of you out there that also agree that when you take control of what you're putting into your body, it's going to make a difference. I often say that health and beauty comes from within, and it lands on the skin. And it does it every single time. And you watch, you start eating healthier, drinking more water, okay? Water. And I'm always having to work on that one and end up finding myself a little dehydrated. And you can tell, just look in the mirror, you'll see, or look at your skin, it'll be all crepey. If you pick your skin up, you pick your skin up and if it bounces back, that means you're not dehydrated? Is that what that means again?
It could, because you're not getting oxygen to the cell. Because if you drink water, it gets more oxygen into the body.
And why do we need oxygen to the cell, pray tell?
Why do you need oxygen to the cells? Mm-hmm. Well, it keeps them alive. It allows the sodium and, I'm trying to think of the word, and pass it. Well, it involves two forms of movement. And one is sodium, and the other I will have to tell you later.
Are you having one of those moments? A senior moment.
Yeah, sometimes you have that. With Parkinson's, sometimes you have a freeze.
Yeah.
And they last sometimes from 5 to 10 to 15 seconds. And it's the body readjusting itself. And I got used to it because at first it was very embarrassing. But now I'm not embarrassed. In fact, it gives me a format to work on. If I can do what I'm doing at my age, you can do anything. You don't cure those diseases, but you can be more comfortable. You can be more productive. You can be sometimes to the point where you're doing things you couldn't do when you didn't have Parkinson's. That's the thing to work towards. And there's so many people, over 1 million people that have that disease, and you have many others that fit in the neurological roadmap. But the important thing is to realize that the good Lord gave you a gift in a sense, because I know when I was told that I had Parkinson's disease, I knew that I wouldn't be able to fight in the ring anymore. And I said to the doctor, I said, God, why me? And God, why me? Then I thought for a minute, God, why not me? Because I can help people with being able to make this a very strong passion. Just picture the end result. Picture you getting what you want out of it, and picture you helping people. Make sure that you work on when you have someone leave your presence. When you have somebody leave your presence, they need to feel good about themselves better. They need to feel a little bit better than when they were with you. Most people that live a life that's not conditioned for that, most people, they look for bad things to happen so they can, it's like they become vampires, psychic vampires. And they were ready to zap you and make you feel bad because they get and subtract other people's energy.
Yeah, and that happens. That does happen. And that's when you know you're really not around the most influential people for your just your whole being. It's much nicer to be around people that have kind of like the matched enthusiasm. You have the same likes, and you want to grow in your consciousness level and just keep growing and learning more. And we can learn from others. I think we need to be a light for the world and help shine that light down and just make the moves as we can as we flow through life, and just share little tidbits here and there. You know, how many times have we ever been out at the grocery store? You can tell who's really happy and enjoying themselves. You can tell just by their demeanor, and they may change your day just by smiling at you or saying, hey, how you doing today? Or let me get that for you, you know, opening the door for people. I notice that people, for the most part, after being all masked up and shut up for the last 3 years, people are talking more to one another and doing more kindness and random acts of kindness, as that saying goes. And you just, I notice it more and more, and I try to do that as well myself. And my husband's right. Having friends around you, and when you get with them, and when they leave your company and you leave their company, you want to feel good about that visit. We were out with our friends Joe and Helena last night, and it was wonderful. We went over to Bonefish, just a nice, relaxing meal, had a few laughs, took some pictures, and it was just so nice. And believe me, we had plenty to do right in the comforts of our own home, like a few things at loose ends that we just thought, you know what, we're taking this time for our friends, because tomorrow isn't promised. And I say that quite a bit, because it isn't. So doing the best we can in every day that we possibly can, and giving back in any way possible, and you'd be surprised. I want to talk about something really sweet. Is, if you are a Facebook friend, you probably have seen me posting about the Henrietta and Henry family, and it's it's our bird family. Every year, for how many years we've been in our villa? 27 years. You're right, almost 4 decades. We have been in our villa, and every single year, somewhere around the front entryway, we have a bird family. And being a feng shui practitioner, I know that this is a good omen when you have that kind of energy that builds a nest. Well, this family...
They'll build it in many different places. One of the funniest was they built a nest in one of my old discarded running shoes.
I know!
And they made a nest out of it, and there was about 4 that came out of that nest.
That's right, and we've got 4 babies now. Well, they're not born yet, but 4 little eggs. And what they did is they built their nest in the Green Frog ceramic planter that actually didn't have anything in it, and it was just sitting there as a little garden decoration. Well, they must have saw safety in that, so what they did cracks me up. They do this every year. I put a wreath that has twigs and leaves and things like that, and I change the flowers from time to time. They come and borrow the twigs to make their nest. I guess they just figured it's handy because it's right there, take it off the door, and then go make the nest, go get some more, put in the nest. I'm getting the biggest kick out of this. And so from on the side of our door, on the front door, we have a glass transom. And the only way to see Henrietta inside that nest is to look through the transom. And she's just sitting there, not moving, but her eyes are as big as life, watching. And I know she can see me, but it's amazing. I said to my husband, I go, I wonder what a bird thinks when they're nesting on their eggs. And they're just so quiet and protective, and are they just like thinking they know they're going to have these babies? And you know, I think if humans could be more like that, just sit and stare, take time for yourself, take time for God, special time to really flow through life and think about what's really, really important. I think a lot of us have gotten down to our knees even more in these last few years, and just, you know, making the very best of what we have. It's just like living our best life. So when I thought about our notes today for what we were going to talk about, is living the best quality of our life. And, you know, we just pour our hearts out to you guys. You know, anything's game when you're with us. And the more I've thought about this and the more I talk about with others, I'd love to hear your take. You can always message us, private messages, or go post on Primetime TV show. But I have noticed I have to admit this. I've noticed that every time I add 10 years to my life, I have to work out differently, and my muscles feel differently. Every 10 years, it doesn't matter. But I have to say, when you get in your 60s, it's not quite as interesting as how we assess our lives in our 70s or in our 80s, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
There's just a different mindset because we're in, I guess you could say, the final chapter. I don't want to say like the last trimester in a pregnancy, but I guess you could. But sometimes you think about things differently. And as I look back on my life, I can't say that I would do anything different because with God right there at our side at all times, and I know you agree with me too.
Yes,
would you have done anything differently in your life? You're 80, you turned 84, you're going on 85. I'll be 74 in October. I don't believe that I would change anything unless I met you earlier.
Oh, that's nice.
That would have been really more fun.
One of my wishes that I could, if I had a wish, is that all these wonderful things I'm going through, they could have got to me a little bit sooner.
There you go.
Because the youth is wasted on the young. So many of these kids, they don't have proper guidance, and they don't have anybody really cares about them, so they end up on drugs, and worse than that, deceased.
I know.
So the key is what you... Anthony Robbins said that quite eloquently. He said the key to longevity is what is the greatest pleasures. In other words, what you relate happiness, or rather, what you relate as a pleasure that will give you good feelings right away, but the problem with that only lasts a little while, and how you relate to cocaine or how you relate to the gym. Cocaine gives you a minute or two or whatever package, and it also leads people to affect other people's lives in a negative way. The opposite of that is think good things, be kind to people, and if you really want to change the world, work on changing yourself first, because it won't change unless you do the part of someone that really loves helping people.
You know, let's talk about the kids for just however long we need to. Kids are our passion. They're our future. And I know just from observing, from being a parent for, gosh, my oldest son is 51, and Jonathan is in his mid to late 40s, and when I look back at their lives and I see how they look back at their lives. My one son, many years ago, I don't know, about 6, 7, 8 years ago, he was coming over to the villa, and I was sorting out pictures, and I hadn't completed this one box of pictures. You know how you keep tossing them in and they never go into an album or anything like that? Well, now you got them on the phone. And I said to him, I said, Jason, why do you always go to those pictures? And he said, because I love looking at my childhood pictures. I said, why is it? He says, I had a fantastic childhood. Talk about a reward, right? Talk about something coming back to me that I least expected, because we don't talk about that with our kids. Like, well, how do you think I'm doing there, Johnny or Susie, right?
I don't think that's cool.
No, because at that time, when you're trying to raise your kids, they're like butting heads and going through puberty, and with the hormones changing. Oh, it's a good thing I had sons, because I would not want to have dealt with one of this. Believe me when I tell you, because girls are real squirrely sometimes. I mean, they really are.
I think it's harder to raise girls than boys.
Yeah, I do too. But you know, and when I think about, okay, well, would there have been anything I would have done different? And I don't think there would have, because I always came from love. I made my children responsible, and boy, are they ever responsible today. Both our sons are very, very successful in everything. And so I thought, okay, how can I help my grandson in any way that I can impart if he's interested? And so on February 14th, was it last year? I think it was the year before. I interjected the HeatMath program for kids, for Heart Smarts, and Heart Smart Children's Adventures. And you remember that when he came over, because I was homeschooling my grandson. And if you know me, you know that the technology is not my cup of tea. Well, guess what? I had to exhibit and lead by example by managing my own emotions, not losing my cool, as I can sometimes when it comes to not being able to figure out technology. Well, the whole school system was on the computer, and it crashed. Okay, so JD loved that because he didn't have to until it went back up. Anyway, long story short, so I introduced on Valentine's Day, February 14th, the Heart Smarts Kids Adventures, and you can look that up on HeatMath Institute. I believe in my wholeheartedly that this is something that will help all children, especially if they're latchkey kids, and if you can take some quality time and go through that program, it's amazing. Because I thought if I could have 5 minutes with him, just 5 minutes, and I ended up having 35 minutes with him because he was watching it on the pad, teaching values and all goodness and fun and sweet things, using animation with animals. It was just so wonderful. And he'd look up at me and he'd look back at his pad, he'd look up at me, back at his pad, and he really enjoyed it. And so it made me feel like that was my part to help him out, to just kind of, plant these seeds of love, always come from love, in no matter what it is that you do. Because, today it's really rough on the kids in having to learn how to manage their emotions. There's so much bullying still going on out there. And so if we can impart this information to you, then we feel that we've made a difference and an influence on your lives. What we're going to do here in just a little bit is I want to offer the HeatMath Experience to you, but before we do, and we're going to show a video in just a second here, I want to show you, this is my because I'm old school, and because I don't trust the grid or the computers or anything at all, I do this. See this? An old-fashioned loose leaf binder. I have all the PDFs in here on the HeatMath Experience. Now, you wonder what the HeatMath Experience is? I will tell you. It's everything that we have trained by, everything you went to the mountains not once but twice to be certified through HeatMath Institute, who is in all departments of the Army, and they have done an amazing job in doing research on what happens to the human heart when it's stressed out, what happens when you do not have the capability of managing your emotions. And I know you've heard us say that shamelessly time and time again. I think we mention it in every show because this is exactly what we've done. Although my husband, when he went to the mountains to become certified as a HeatMath trainer, experienced trainer, believe me, because he was already a life coach before that, but this took it to a deeper level, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Things that I never knew existed in the world.
What parts of the training, hon, was it that you noticed that was different from all your Anthony Robbins and all of the Zig Ziglars, all the guys that were out there that made an influence on actually both of our lives? What was it?
We're starting to use that now, but they weren't until just recently, because of the fact it's so foreign to the average person. And they discovered that inside the heart are the same cells, some of the same cells that are in the brain, and they communicate back and forth. Then there's the gut, the Chinese call it Dantian area. That's a seat of our power. So when we think good things, we vibrate at a higher level of efficiency. If we don't do that, if we send negative vibrations, then you will attack other people with negative vibrations. And believe it or not, the body vibrates. Everything vibrates. This table is vibrating right now. The cells are going to, electrons are going around the neutron at the speed of light. So when that slows down, it's the power down. You don't want to get in the power down, because then if you get sick, you can't fight it just like you can. You have to depend on drugs. But if you get into a situation where you need to power up, then this is where the HeatMath training is insurmountable. You reach a state of imperturbability. Nobody can, I mean it sincerely, by practicing these things, no one can empty your boat. They'll float your boat.
You often say nobody can rattle your cage, and you know what? That is really true. If you learn these techniques and these principles, somebody can be screaming at you right within your face, right in your face, and you will not budge, because you will be coming from a love feeling from the inside, even at that person, because you know what? They're doing the best they can with what they have to work with. And you just mentioned something about having to go on medications and things like that. And of course, sometimes when it's necessary, it's necessary. You have a urinary tract infection or something like that, and you know that you need to go on something for temporary. But the thing is about this program is, even if something gets you down, and maybe you broke a leg, maybe you had the disease that was going around, and you can't get out of bed. But if you can think, and you have your mind, and your mind is open like a parachute, you can think the thoughts that come from managing your emotions. And if you're a prayerful person, let me tell you, HeatMath, I think was a divine intervention.
It changed my life dramatically. Mm-hmm. I tell you, it's amazing how in just 1 minute you can reverse a negative situation with just putting your attention in an area of the heart. The heart then works on going to the brain through a thing called aponeural pathway, and it causes the brain to put good hormones in the body. But if you don't do that, if you, like Christmas comes and you get depressed because you don't have a loved one with you or whatever, try to look for the silver lining in a dark cloud, and it's there. Negative people look at opportunities as obstacles. Positive people look at obstacles as there was this
senior moment.
A freeze-frame moment.
I understand what you're saying, and it's so true. Rob, if you happen to have that video ready, I want to give everyone the opportunity to grasp onto the HeatMath Experience. And HeatMath Experience brought to all of us during COVID, because of COVID, so that it can help us work ourselves through the different challenges that we've all had, whether it be under lockdown, whether if you actually did contact COVID, or whatever it was. So when you're ready, we'll toss over to that, because you can get this by going onto the internet to the HeatMath Experience and sign up for it, and there's no cost to you.
Can you hear me? Can you feel me? This is a story about your life and about new ways to see that we are all connected.
Just like electricity changed the outer world, heart's going to change the inner world.
We can take charge of how we feel more than we may think.
It allows me to be present, centered, and focused.
I just find that deeper place in myself where I can feel that sense of love.
And as more people come together, it's going to draw in a whole new awareness.
But the heart really is an access point to our larger self that can bring in that intelligence of another dimension. So now we're starting to have a scientific understanding that these higher quality emotions that people have always associated with the heart really do affect the way the heart beats and the quality of the neural signals being sent to the brain, which it then interprets.
Heart and brain are in constant communication. The heart is doing most of the talking. Let's do an exercise now to get a better sense of how you're experiencing emotions that renew or drain you.
Okay, I'd like you to think of a specific situation that you feel has been difficult to solve these past few days.
In this experience, through learning simple techniques, seeing real-life examples, and hearing from experts and others, you will have the opportunity to experience your heart's intelligence and how it can help you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll see how you can connect with your heart in practical ways to reduce the stress of daily life, meet challenges with more ease, and become more of who you truly are.
You'll learn to listen to and follow the magnificent intuitive presence of your heart.
It's heart time on the planet.
And we're back. I hope you enjoyed that quick little video. It gives you just a little overview on what the HeatMath Experience is about. So I hope that you sign up for it, because this will also help to program your thinking a little bit differently, to put a little bit more ease and regulation on your emotions. Because once we can almost feel like the heartbeat of our emotions in a more positive way and much more uplifting, it's just going to make a major difference in your life. We have every single book there ever was. We have our training manual that my husband went to the mountains in Boulder, California to become certified. So he's got the real nitty-gritty on the coaching part. But really and truly, the HeatMath Experience, you can get the PDFs and the videos. All the chapters are right there. They're so easy to understand, and it's complimentary still right now. So I really applaud HeatMath for bringing that to us to open our eyes. So I know we're coming down to the last stretch of our show today. My goodness, it's going fast, isn't it?
Real fast.
Yeah,
Too fast.
yeah, it always does, but we always have so much to say, and I know sometimes we jump around. I know you can follow us, but we want to bring this all together so that if you're thinking of making a change, wherever you are in your life, it's all good. Change can be really good. Sometimes it can be a little painful because we've got to change some of our habits, right? Coming from love, when somebody's screaming in your face, it can be done. It can be done. And when you went to HeatMath Experience, you saw these videos on what happened when somebody was in a car accident, the boy and the dog, where they were together, they were hooked up to these electrodes, and it showed these beautiful wavy movements on the graph, and then they separated the boy and the dog, put the boy in one closed room and the dog in another closed room, put the electrodes on them, and they were like a seismograph. They were going all over the place. They were not happy because they were separated. Oh, and do you know what I heard on the news today on Joy FM, on their news? They were talking about adults can actually sleep better and sleep a full night when they sleep with their pets. How about that?
We do.
We do. And they just, and we know that. I mean, they were our life coaches going through all this nonsense the last couple of years. So in recapping in this last 14 minutes and few seconds, what would you say if somebody's thinking of doing some different food planning right now, maybe protein drinks, maybe supplements, exercise? I want you to just jump in and pick out some of your favorite things to get started with. I mean, my husband wrote the book, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth. It's like a manual. We're almost emptied out of those boxes, but he's writing Champion the Champion Within, because we were all born champions. But he's adding on to what he's learned over the last however many years. So what would you say? What are some of the first things that you feel people should do besides learn how to manage your emotions? This is going to be key.
Well, if you go to my book, it's based on the 6 steps of the Fountain of Youth. Mm-hmm. Every one of these steps contributes to the Fountain of Youth. We have the first step, exercise. Get the body moving.
Mm-hmm. Why?
That's very important. For example, if somebody's 35 years of age and they don't exercise at all, when they reach 60, they would have lost half of their years. In other words, they only get half the benefit. And if somebody exercises 3 times a week, doesn't have to be a lot as far as length of time, just 15, 20 minutes. And what happens then, they only age at 0.5%, so at the 60 years of age, they've only lost 12.5%, where the other way go around without exercise, they lose 50% of their potential, their mind and their body. 50% is gone right out the window. Now, is it ever too late? No, it's never. Those of you that are extremely fragile, or you haven't exercised in a long time, Tai Chi and Qigong are excellent for that, because they can give you the same benefits in a lot of ways as a person lifting barbells at the gym, and they can really fortify the blanks in your ability to function properly so you can live longer. Then number 2 is nutrition. You want to eat. You want to eat so that you give your machine the proper fuel. Your machine is the body. And then you have, after that, you have
nutrition, nutrients, yeah?
Yeah, I got nutrition. Mm-hmm. It's my book, and I have a...
And relaxation.
The relaxation, and then attitude, in other words, your psychological profile. And then number 6 is happiness. If you do every one of these things, exercise, nutrition, supplements, stress handling, then you're actually going to be able to be healthier and face the world in a much better way. We're trying to make happiness rather than creating the happiness.
That's right. We can create our own. You know, and something else that I think is worth mentioning is the exercise. Those percentages are really important to think about. Kind of scary, because the other thing that we need, especially when we get older, is our strength. Our strength is so important, and I'm thinking that you would probably agree with me that if you're working out and you're building your strength and your stamina, you have that when you get older, just doing simple things and, you know, doing your housework and different things like that, but really taking as good care of yourself as you possibly can. Last week we had Dr. Bedanza on, my chiropractor, soon to be my husband's chiropractor. And I've always gone to a chiropractor, and then I lost the chiropractor that I was going for several years. And that's after being in 3 car accidents. So I thought, you know what? It's time for me to go back and see what my spine actually looks like. And sure enough, I had a straight neck, and we're supposed to have a curve in our neck. And so in 3 months' time, I was able to begin to get that back. And the significance was quite profound after we did the 3-month x-ray. So I was really excited about that. So now I'm on a maintenance and getting the circulation through the body, not just through manipulation, but also through supplements and what we put into our body to move it through to all the cells, and getting the oxygen to the cells from deep breathing, right?
Right. Keep that fire burning in the cells. Each cell has over 1,000 little mitochondria, little energy factories. And when we don't exercise or take the proper nutrition or control our attitude and search for internal happiness, meaning that you're happy in spite of things, rather you're just happy because of things.
Yeah, we're happy because of things.
Absolutely. I'm happy when I wake up and I'm above ground, I'm happy.
And especially when we're feeling good too. So we have a few little aches and pains or whatever. It's how we deal with those and how we can look into prayer to get the answers. You know, I've been, as you know, everybody knows, I've been having this crazy sciatica stuff going on from tight muscles. I'm going to share this with you because I just, you know, the Holy Spirit woke me up yesterday morning, actually, not as early as I usually get up, but anyway, when I got up, I watch Joy FM, and I glance at Facebook or whatever, but this, I think, came from my email, because I believe that these spy on us, because if it hears you talking about something, that's a good way to market to you. Anyway, I'm sure some of you might agree with that. But anyway, this worked out really nice. What was the name of it? It was having to do with a back exercise that affects the sciatica muscle. Okay, that sciatica nerve that goes all the way down your leg. Have you ever had it If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I wasn't about to go on muscle relaxers or anything like that. My chiropractor is helping to work that through, keeping my spine in alignment. But what I learned was, I'm sure if you've had sciatica, you may have tried the tennis balls, but on your lower back and your hip flexors and all that. But what I also learned, and I would say check with your doctor first before you do anything. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but I'm just sharing you what I learned, and you might want to look into it, is the piriformis muscle, okay? If you're having that, you feel that muscle that's going down the side of your leg, it's that big muscle, I think it is, the piriformis, isn't it right, Coach?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was doing the tennis balls with that, but also there's exercises to release that. And I'm trying to think of what her name is. Her name's Emily. I'm going to look it up, and I'll post it on Facebook. But she offers a program. It's very affordable, like $37, but she also gives you an instant exercise. I obviously can't show it to you here, but go to Barbara Marville-Kelly on Facebook, and in the next couple of days, I'll try to remember to put that on there for anybody that might want to take a look at it, see if that makes sense, because I'll tell you, that sciatica is awful, awful stuff. But I have found a few ways from praying. I prayed, God, okay, can you give me just a day of relief from that? And of course, God goes above and beyond, and I've had about 5 or 6 days. Plus, with some help with Connie over at her practice, where she does some neuromuscular massage, and she did both of us about a week. Oh yeah, 2 weeks ago, and that was really wonderful. So there's many modalities out there that can help us live a better quality of life. We just have to pick and choose. Stay away from the ones that we know can cause more angst with us, like side effects from medications. So, think about it. I know we're in the throes of that right now too, because I'm taking a blood pressure medicine that I started taking many years ago, and I'm concerned that I've got side effects from that, just like with you with the blood pressure, and lowering it from something that quite innocently you thought you think that that's going to help. But I'm telling you now, look at your medications, and if you have Medicare, you may very well qualify to get the genetic testing done. Private message me and I'll tell you more about it, because I so believe in it, and I listen to these patients all the time. Oh, thank you. New technology, there you go. And I am shamelessly posting that on Facebook so that we can raise the awareness of something like that. And I'm so glad we have the platform here with WeBeam TV to let you know. So many people do not realize that you can actually do a simple mouth swab test. It can be covered by Medicare, and you can actually see if you're predestined for various types of cancers. You can see if you're predestined for diabetes or cardiopulmonary, and get this one. You could also be tested through this simple mouth swab that takes 10 seconds, no blood drawn, you don't go anywhere, nobody comes to the house. You can actually test for various types of dementias, Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, Alzheimer's, and good old-fashioned dementia. And if we knew, 10, 12 years ago when you were diagnosed, I can guarantee you we would have been on the bandwagon to find other alternatives, which we have been doing from time to time, that has helped maintain my husband to thrive and survive, and we're always looking for anything that we possibly can, and to share that with those of you that are growth seekers when it comes to your health, your wellness, your mindset, your mental health. It's all about mental health these days. People of all ages. I cannot tell you how many people are taking something to diffuse their stress rather than doing something natural. And I understand, because it's easier to take a pill, but if it's like today, I was trying to get doctor's appointments and follow-ups and It's like forever to try to get in and see your doctor, and they're not doing any more telemed calls for whatever reason. So, it was starting to get to me, and I went over to my husband and I said, I feel like my heart's palpitating. Can you just give me a hug? Because he has a low blood pressure and a low heart rate. And it took about not even 90 seconds.
Right.
So that heart variable, that heart variation, it really, really works. It really works.
Beyond what we're even describing. It all is up to the practitioner that is trying to make their life better. All things are possible. Just have to get passionate about what you want and then go to work. Don't just sit on your butts.
I'd like to do this, but.
That's right. I left that part out. Thank you for saving me on that one.
We've all done that, haven't we? We've all been in that mode of thinking where I've got too much to do. I can't do this and I can't do that. But it will come back to bite you. Believe me. It's like you were saying, the Tai Chi and Qigong, which we've been teaching. You've been teaching for many, many years, a Grandmaster
40
in it.
years.
Yeah, exactly. It can help you do simple things like if you're driving, having the exercise to be able to turn your head, to be able to see in the areas that you need to see, catching something that falls out of the cupboard, right? Your reaction time, different things like that. And the last thing that we need to do, especially when we've added years to our life and life to our years, is to take a fall. You and I both know all about that in the last 5 years. Both of us. I took a fall on the dance floor. You heard all about that fiasco. And then my husband fell on a very poorly repaired job on the sidewalk in our community, of all places. 2 concussions, 1 on each side. But he healed from that. Why? Because he's taken really good care of himself and may not have made it otherwise. So it's so important that we build our strength, our stamina. And when we build our strength and stamina, physically, you said that. That's one of the first things that you recommend in your book, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth, is exercise. Work it out. Get on the mat. Live the martial way. We've been doing an episode calling Live the Martial Way. You know, anybody can live the martial way. You don't have to be a martial artist.
Martial means war.
And we're declaring war on disease, you always say.
Not on your neighbor,
Oh,
but on the armadillo that digs up your garden.
I know. We have one of those little rascals.
Those are the enemies we keep ourselves in tune to.
I know. Well, it looks like it's time for us to close our show today. And I can't thank you all enough for joining us and letting us shamelessly talk about what is near and dear to us and what we're passionate about. Find a passion. Are you bored, silly? Are you tired of being sick and tired? There's something you can do about it. Let's lead by example. For America, for the world, for our children that need us to lead by example in a good, positive way. It can be done. Check out the HeatMath Experience. I promise you, it will be anything and everything you would hope for. And I just want to say God bless each and every one of you. And until next time, again, thank you so much for being with us. God bless.